Yes, the plaintiff would now like to call Jan Patel to stand.
Right.
Could you please state your name to the court?
My name is Shawn Patel.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a janitor with the Midland City Civic Center.
What are your duties as a janitor?
I'm primarily responsible for cleaning up the place, taking out the trash, vacuuming, that kind of thing.
Co-counsel could maybe step back or step forward just so I could have.
It's not an objection, that's just a question.
Okay, sorry.
Sure. Why don't you move over the square and she can see.
Were you on duty the night of September 24th?
Yes, I was.
And what was going on at the Midland Civic Center that night?
The Civic Center had a gun control debate between Lane Hamilton and my hero, Drew Walton.
Were you able to watch the debate?
Unfortunately, I was busy in the back, so I couldn't see the debate.
What time did the debate end at?
It ended at about 9:30ish.
Did you get to go home after?
After the debate and press conference was over, I was decided to continue working till about 4 a.m.
So what did you do first?
After the debate was over, about 9:40, I was taking out the trash.
And what did you do after that?
At this point, I was at the dumpster taking out the trash when Drew Walton and Lane Hamilton came out of the building.
And could you describe what they were doing as they were leaving the building?
Well, Drew Walton was standing by her car. Lane Hamilton was coming out of the building, and he seemed at least irritated.
Could you describe their demeanor?
Lane Hamilton kind of seemed irritated, almost angry-ish. Lane, oh, I just screwed that up. Lane Hamilton seemed irritated. Drew Walton at first kind of followed suit, and later became more comforting.
Objection, Your Honor. Improper characterization of the individuals.
Response?
I just merely asked to describe their demeanor as they were walking, just how he had observed it, not really for the truth of the matter.
It's just his observations.
If I may be heard, Your Honor.
I made my ruling. Objections overruled.
So what did you do after you finished taking the garbage out?
Well, as I was taking out the garbage, I noticed that there was a gun in Lane Hamilton's hand. It was about waist high. At this point in time, I was worried, so I proceeded towards the Civic Center in order to get help.
And did you end up finding any help?
I didn't have time. I turned around, and within seconds, I heard a gunshot, so I hit the ground.
What did you do after that?
I waited about a few more seconds, and then I heard a second gunshot. About 30 seconds after that, I got the courage to stand up again.
What did you notice as you stood up?
I turned towards Lane Hamilton and Drew Walton and noticed that Lane Hamilton was on the ground, Drew Walton was over him. I then turned towards the Civic Center.
And what did you do after that?
I started to shout for help, and then I turned back towards Lane and Drew to lend a helping hand if I could.
And was there anyone else around at that time?
About this point in time, the media that was covering the debate inside the Civic Center came out, along with the security from the Civic Center.
Did you speak with any of them?
For a while I didn't. I kind of stayed back, but I did notice Regan Thomas from Blitz News Network, so I eventually got the courage to go up and talk to him.
Do you know what time it was when you went up to talk to Regan Thomas?
I want to say 9:50, 10-ish.
And did you talk to him at that time?
I went up to him saying that I saw what happened, but he didn't even want to hear what I had to say. He brushed me off.
And at that point, what did you do?
At this point, I was upset. I figured at least he would have the common decency to talk to me, at least listen to what I had to say.
Did anyone else, was anyone else around that you could talk to?
The police arrived moments after. They had a series of questions for me.
No further questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Patel, you're a fan of Drew Walton's, aren't you?
I'm a fan of all political figures.
Drew Walton, you'd even classify as your hero.
Yes, I would.
Sorry. And he is your favorite political figure, isn't he?
One of many.
And on the day you met him, September 24th, 2006, was one of the most exciting days of your life, wasn't it?
Besides today, it was.
But you didn't actually meet Mr. Walton, did you, Mr. Patel?
We didn't shake hands, if that's what you're referring to.
Actually, you just came upon him by chance taking up trash.
I guess you could say it was by chance.
And at that time, when you came upon Mr. Walton, you were outside.
I was.
It was approximately 9:45 at night.
About that.
It was dark out.
Yes.
There weren't many lights in the Civic Center.
There was a few.
It was very cloudy.
Partially cloudy.
And you would even classify it as hard to see.
It was marginally difficult.
And at this point, you were 50 feet away from Lane Hamilton and Drew Walton, isn't that correct?
Something like that. I didn't take a tape measure or anything, but...
But you were about 50 feet away.
I'm guessing.
And at that time, you saw Mr. Walton and Mr. Hamilton,
Yes.
and you heard Mr. Hamilton specifically say, "I know Gerald Walton, and you, Drew Walton, are no Gerald Walton." Is that correct?
Question calls for hearsay.
Response.
This is, Your Honor, this is not going towards the truth of what was stated, merely the effect on the listener. And just to repeat the question, you specifically heard Mr. Hamilton say, "I know Gerald Walton, and you, Drew Walton, are no Gerald Walton," correct?
I did hear this.
And that's when you saw Mr. Hamilton holding a gun,
About then, yes.
and you turned your back on both Drew and Lane,
For a mere moment.
and you jogged even farther away.
I took a few steps.
So by this time, you were farther than 50 feet away from the two men.
5 foot or two.
And you heard two gunshots,
Yes.
with your back still facing the Civic Center, away from the men.
Yes.
And then you waited an entire 30 seconds to turn around and face them.
Something like that.
Something like that, or 30 seconds?
About 30 seconds. I wasn't
Okay.
timing it.
And so you didn't see either gunshot.
I guess I didn't.
You didn't see either man shoot the gun.
I saw Lane Hamilton with the gun just prior to the first gunshot.
And while that is very good, Mr. Patel, just to redirect your attention back to my question, you didn't see either man shoot the gun.
I guess I didn't.
And a few moments later, the Civic Center was crowded, or the parking lot of the Civic Center was crowded, right?
Yes, it was.
There were a lot of reporters, and it was a mob.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a mob, but it was busy.
And although there were lots of reporters on the scene, you specifically wanted to speak with Reagan Thomas.
I went up to him, yes.
And that's because you recognize Reagan Thomas as being an interviewer to lots of celebrities.
Yes.
And you said, went up to Reagan Thomas and specifically said, "I saw everything."
I think so.
You told Reagan Thomas that you saw Lane Hamilton commit suicide.
I might have. I don't really remember exactly word for word what I said.
Would you like me to refresh your memory?
No, I'm good.
In that case, you told Reagan Thomas that you saw everything that happened. Lane Hamilton committed suicide. Drew Walton didn't do it. Isn't that correct, Mr. Patel?
Something like that, yes.
Again, Mr. Patel, you said specifically
Yes, I did.
that Lane Hamilton committed suicide.
I did.
But you didn't see that happen.
I saw enough to make the necessary conclusion.
So you made an assumption.
If you want to call it that.
And then you used that false assumption